Forgiveness. Now, this topic's a super important one, because if you want to manifest your internal power, meaning the ability to use the mind and the energy to exhibit your skill, to perform your Kung Fu power, you need to let go of blockages. And oftentimes they're in the form of resentment and complaint and negativity towards others and even oneself. Further to that, one of the main things holding us back in our life and our potential and in our growth is that which we, hold on to unnecessarily. Hold on to oneself and others. And a lot of the time it's projected to others. Now, once again, any negativities that you hold on to someone else is you essentially hurting yourself. Meaning that, there's another way of putting it. It's like if you're holding to a hot coal to throw it at someone, you're burning yourself in order to throw it at them, right? So you're hurting yourself. And that's the same thing with these resentments and these complaints that we hold for others. So let's just say I'm hating Mr. Joe Bloggs over there, right? Joe Bloggs, he's done X, Y, Z, like he hurt me, betrayed me, and I hate and I resent him. But where does that hatred and resentment kind of manifest? In me. It's inside me. So the problem is that I'm actually poisoning and hurting myself from the hatred that I sent to him. My hatred for him makes me, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I hate him. That person's a dick face. And then that hatred's supposed to somehow affect them. And sure, it might influence their frequency, and sure, it might give them a hatred back to you. But firstly, you poison yourself. Secondly, you set up an actual negative connection between you and that person. So the person that you want to kind of, not have in your life, or at least, because most of the time when you hate someone, you don't really want them around, but at least you don't want to, have the interactions that might be going on between you two. That hatred, that resentment, that complaint, that blame, whatever frequency it might take, sets up an actual energetic connection between you both. And it's like they'll live rent-free in your head. So who's really winning here when you hate someone or when you have a negativity towards them, right? No one. You're sending them negative energy, you're feeling negative. All it does is perpetuate turd energy, stuff inside you that latches onto other negativities. So that resentment might latch onto complaint, and that complaint might latch onto an anger, and that anger might latch onto an hatred. So essentially, you do no good when you go into these negative feelings for other people, because essentially you are the negativity in that equation. You are the one perpetuating that. So what does that mean? It means we need to learn how to forgive. We need to learn how to forgive others and forgive ourselves. So it's really the actual frequency of forgiveness itself which needs to be aligned with, which is a quality of lovingness. A quality of love is forgiveness. So essentially it's like the same thing. However, there is a different angle because it's more about, the relationship you have with oneself and others. So if we take it in the context of ourselves, now let's just say you have some hatred or blame or resentment or complaint to yourself. Perhaps you did something in the past you think you shouldn't have, or perhaps you didn't do what you think you should have. There are many reasons that we can, have negativity towards ourselves. Maybe you didn't study hard enough for exam. Maybe you did something really wrong. Maybe you punched someone in the face. Maybe you betrayed someone. All these different experiences in life can lead us in a downward spiral of shame, guilt, blame, resentment, anger, frustration to ourselves. I'm so angry that I'm angry was what a friend used to always say. I'm so angry that I'm angry, which really kind of just builds it into this perpetual cycle of downwardness. So a very simple framework to start to move forward from that is to just realize, and I learned this from Dr. David Hawkins' teachings, is it seemed like a good idea at the time. Remember, we are human, right? We're humans, and humans have emotions, right? We have emotions as humans. And it's not our fault that we are human, right? It's not like, hey, you're an idiot for being human. You're a human being, you got born that way. And you have emotions. And from those emotions and thoughts, you make certain actions. And we do the best we can within a given situation. So in a certain situation, you do what you think's best. Most of the time, most people are trying to do what they think is right in a situation according to their level of consciousness and awareness. So everyone's really trying to do their best. So, you can take it easy with yourself. You can, the same way if you have a child, for the parents out there, or even a person who doesn't have kids but knows, or knows of kids, or know kids that are like 2 or 3, when they make a mistake, you don't beat them for the rest of their lives about it. You might get upset because it was, a major mistake. Maybe they smashed the television, so you can get upset for the moment, but you can forgive them and let it go by because they're still a child who's learning, right? Essentially, we're the same thing. Just because we're older, it doesn't mean we're not learning. Just because we're older, it doesn't mean we're not doing our best. So what we can start to think to ourselves is, it seemed like a good idea at the time, and I did, at the time that you did it, it seemed like the right thing to do, or it seemed like the option that you'd take. So you can start to ease out the tension around it. Now, apart from, noticing and realizing that, we do our best from moment to moment, you can treat yourself as well like a child or a young animal, in the sense that you're trying to learn lessons, right? If you keep repeating the same thing, then sure, maybe you should kind of like start to pay more attention, like if you punch someone in the face and then you get in trouble for it, and then you go and punch them in the face another 47 times different people, maybe you do need to start paying attention to what you're doing. But what the point is that we learn, we grow and evolve. So you can start to take it easy on yourself the same way you'd take it easy on a loved one or a child. You wouldn't just keep blaming them and scolding them forever, which is what some people like to do internally. I know I have before, just gone over and over in my own mind about things that I've done wrong, so to speak. Now, apart from looking at it in those ways, you can also think of just looking at the emotional qualities as reminders, as we spoke about earlier. So let's just say you're feeling a sense of guilt or shame or even fear or doubt. Rather than just kind of really focusing in on that, right, and saying, okay, I feel guilty, and getting stuck in it and then keep reliving the past situation, shift your attention. Yes, that happened. It happened, but get over it. Because as a Kung Fu practitioner, as someone who wants to evolve spiritually, we let go of the past. Remember, we don't think in terms of body backwards, what the body did in the past. We think in terms of frequency forwards. What is your spiritual intention? How do you want to move towards? You want to move towards a loving, powerful, peaceful, joyful, expansive, prosperous, free energy, so to speak. And also you want to express your potential in your creative nature. So what are you here to do? What are you here to express and create, so to speak? So by thinking body backwards, you don't serve that at all. You do a disservice to that. You're going back into the past and reliving things to kind of wire in these lower frequencies, rather than thinking frequency forward. I did the best I could at the time. I'm a human being. It's okay. But my potential is this. So you can just think of simply shifting your attention. And that might not be as easy of going from a place of like shame all the way to a place of peace. You may need to go from shame to anger to pride to up to then to a sense of courage, and then up in. So it's a directional upwards thing as well. Remember that. So it doesn't mean you're going to go shift completely. Maybe you can, and that is possible. You've probably done it before. Most people have gone from a negative to a positive state before, but it may be incremental as well. So take it easy on yourself there. So what am I getting at? You can use a shift of attention. You can use the shift of attention to also then have a shift of action, in the sense that go watch a movie, go for a run, do massage, so on and so forth. So you can get yourself out of that frequency of unforgiveness and blame and complaint in yourself to yourself, right? So forgiveness for oneself, and that ties into letting go, which we'll do in later lessons. So you want to start to just take it easy on yourself. Now, let's look at the next part of that, forgiveness of others. Now, this is usually where people spend more of their time. Some people do have the kind of self-loathing. However, most of the time it's directed towards other people, My parents, my mum and dad were a certain way, my auntie, my teachers, society, culture, the church, the media, my brother, my cousin's nephew, my dog, whatever. Someone and something to blame, and then project that hatred or resentment onto them for whatever they did to you. Now the thing is that whatever they did, whatever they said, whatever happened is over, right? It's done, it's gone. And there's no real point resting in a negative feeling just because that happened to you. Yes, it probably sucked, and yes, maybe they shouldn't have done it, but the point is that it doesn't mean you have to feel shit. Just because someone hurts you or an experience led to some kind of, upsetness in your life, it doesn't mean you need to carry that around with you like a heavy sack on your back, holding you back from your own inner potential and a joyous life just because someone else did something. So, initially you want to start thinking of okay, you feel that way because oftentimes we blame that other person or experience for the way we feel, right? Which blocks the whole essence of forgiveness because you think it's their actions that make you feel the way you feel. It's not. We're going to go deeper this into the lessons on belief, but it's not. You feel the way you feel because of you. Your perception of things is what's potentiating that emotional quality within you, that unforgiveness, so to speak. So the first thing you want to actually do is start to actually take responsibility for your inner condition. You feel the way you feel because of you, because of your perception of things, because of the way you look at things. They betrayed you, this went wrong, that went wrong, that's the fault of society, whatever the belief might be. You want to take a step back and firstly take responsibility for the way you are inside. I am responsible for my own thoughts and feelings. I am responsible for my life in its entirety, in every single way, shape, and form, right? The reason for that is because that then puts the power in you to actually start to feel differently. Whereas if you keep blaming things outside of you and resenting them and giving that kind of unforgiving or complaint or resentment energy, you'll never be able to shift your internal condition because it'll always be reliant on the external circumstances. So if, Bob down the road always comes up and says, hey, you're a dickhead, and then you feel, hey, that Bob guy's a dickhead, and then you feel hatred for him, and then it's his fault that you feel hatred because he called you a dickhead, then you're going to feel that hatred and that dickhead energy consistently forever if Bob keeps calling you a dickhead. So, regardless of what Bob says, you need to take control of your internal condition. It's like you're saying to yourself, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. I'm the director of my emotions, and I'm the leader of my intention and attention. I am the master of myself. And in that frequency, you can then start to, move into a forgiveness for others via choice as opposed to blaming them for the way you feel. So, once you start taking responsibility for your own inner condition, both mentally, emotionally, energetically, physically, and spiritually, so for your whole life in general, you are the master, you are responsible. Then, from that point, you can forgive. You can be like, okay, well, Bob is a bit of a dick, and he's probably just doing the best he can. I don't need to hate him for it. Yes, this person did what they did throughout my life. They betrayed me, they cheated me, but that's their problem, not mine. I am not going to poison myself just because that guy's a dick face. It makes no sense. Why would you poison yourself because someone else was trying to poison you? It's like, okay, no problem. You're trying to poison me with hatred? Ha! I'm going to add a little bit more. I might as well just pour acid all over myself and stab myself in the arm. It makes no sense. So, if someone wants to be an ass to you, if someone has betrayed you or hurt you, if life has sucked up to this point because life is hard, the government's holding you down, the media is trying to control you, the church wants to make you feel like you're guilty and shameful. Woe is me, and I hate all of them. Stop it. Take responsibility for your internal condition and start to then forgive everything for what it is. Let everything be what it is. Let things be as they are. Get yourself into a state where you don't really give a shit. You forgive them. Why? Because everyone's just doing their best and it's their problem, their actions. Other people's actions, thoughts, and intentions is their problem. And yes, it may hurt you. They may be directly trying to hurt you physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially. They might be, and that happens in life. But it doesn't mean you need to suffer. So enter into that state of forgiveness for yourself and for them. Let that release and you'll start stepping into a new level of power for both your Kung Fu and your life. Okay, any questions on forgiveness? Chuck them in the community and I look forward to seeing you in our next video.